Hello everyone, as usual it's me Pavlo, and today we'll be talking about Hidizs new flagship single dynamic driver earphones that they named MK12. Center of these earphones is their innovative driver with a 12mm magnesium alloy diaphragm. As usual, you'll get earphones with great design, made of metal and with good accessory set, so typical things that we expect from Hidizs. Their retail price will be $200, but they launching it on the Kickstarter, and if everything will go well, this video will be out after the Kickstarter campaign will begin, and you will be able to get it with a much reduced price. There will be available some bundles with decks and limited edition of these earphones. So everything sounds pretty interesting, and links will be in the description, and let's have a closer look. Box is really nice, good high quality cardboard, nice polygraphy, different addresses of representations printed on the sides, and traditionally for Hidizs you can see a lot of technical specifications on the back side. So they have 32 ohms of impedance and pretty high sensitivity, which compensates each other, making it a good load for even not super powerful sources. Inside of the box we getting earphones themselves and traditional layout in general, so let me push them out. Okay, I won't do that, we'll do that later. Three different set of tips, 3 pair each, which is a pretty wide selection in my opinion. So, and here we have nice clamping storage pouch. I really like such a type of pouches, they always works nicely with earphones for quick storage. 2 sets of replaceable filters, also traditional feature for Hidizs products, and that's it. In general, as you can see, accessory set is pretty wide, lot of tips, pouch and filters, so everything is here. In terms of design, they have their own unique look, and Hidizs definitely went interesting way here. You can see that faceplate reminds something like, I don't know, armadillo shell, or maybe some xenomorphs by Geiger, maybe some medieval knight armor pattern, but definitely it looks interesting. And in real life it looks much better than on photos, especially compared to the widespread photos of the silver version. It has this sharp pointy angle, but luckily it's not that sharp on the shell. Overall inner part of the shell is pretty smooth. They are made of some nice quality metal, they feel a bit heavier than traditional, and they are slightly bigger than traditional IEMs. Maybe it can cause some fit problems if you have if you have small ears. But with my average sized ears, they fitting pretty well without any issues. Spouts are relatively short, they are unscrewable, so it's that filter that you can unscrew and replace to tweak sound a little bit. And you can pick inside of these IEMs, but not too much to see there, just a single big dynamic driver. There are 2 vent holes here and here. Probably, it's my speculation, but I think it's because it's vented from both sides to provide better sound quality. So overall nice look and great level of craftsmanship. I like this design, it's pretty aggressive, but at the same time it's not something really super poppy, so it still looks really impressive. Cables are made replaceable, here used absolutely classical 2 pin connectors, so no recessed sockets or pins, just absolute classics. So if you decide to get some third-party cable, there won't be any issues with that. Stock cable is fairly basic, pretty simple, but it does the job rather well. There are ear hooks formed, and here is cable itself. It's not super thick. It has this trendy design with tube-like insulation and the spiral cables inside. Nice attractive silver color, slightly softer than average, not super soft, but also can't call it stiff. Pretty comfortable in everyday wearing. As you can see, it's a bit tangly, but not too much. If you wind it accurately, it will work okay. Here is splitter with chin slider, and beneath the splitter it goes down to the connector. You can select 3.5mm or Pentacon. I went for the Pentacon not because it makes much sense, but because I have a lot of adapters that allows me to connect Pentacon to single-ended output, and it won't be possible to do in the opposite direction. So in general, in terms of design and look and fit, at least for me, they are great. In terms of sound, Hidizs made a step aside from their typical sound signature and retuned the MK12 to be more natural. But of course, with such a big dynamic driver, it's not an absolutely natural sound signature anyway. You can tweak sound with tips and filters, and actually silver and gold filters are pretty similar, with the silver one being slightly more airy and energetic on treble, but difference between silver and gold is not big. Unlike the red ones, red make sound warmer and bass more present and more noticeable. It's reducing treble and boosting low frequencies simultaneously, like shifting overall tonal balance towards a slightly warmer side. As you can easily guess, I prefer the balanced gold filters that came as a stock option, and also balanced tips. But of course you have plenty of space to experiment to find the tuning you like. Bass goes to maximum depth, it's well controlled, and thanks to big dynamic driver it can be pretty punchy. But at the same time, thanks to the overall tuning, low frequencies are not overwhelming. Decays are pretty fast, so they deliver nice textures, a good amount of small nuances, and overall bass is not shadowing mids and treble except of really bassy tracks. And quantity of bass is boosted about average in terms of boost, but not too much. It's not a bass head model. Even with red filters I won't call it bass head, but when record calls for that they can deliver noticeable amounts of lows. First example, it's Blow Your Trumpets Gabriel by Behemoth, and they have this epic intro with really massive low frequencies that lows foundation that like rolling over you like steam engine, and to deliver it properly earphones require an ability to give you a nice amount of lows, which MK12 does, and at the same time, thanks to not overdoing bass and good control, guitars, vocals and percussions also sounds pretty nice with good balance. And Juno Reactor, Voyager 304, classical Juno Reactor track with punchy bass, and bassline delivers here nicely with good contrast to mids with all three-dimensional effects and treble. Mid frequencies is one of the strongest parts, as it typical happens for the well-balanced dynamic drivers. You getting at the same time good detalization, pretty decent amount of micro nuances, and at the same time really good macro dynamics with nice emotions. So they are dependent on the quality of record, but with good records you'll get really great precision, saturated vocals, pretty airy, crispy when it's necessary, nice amount of aggression, but at the same time emotions will be also slightly boosted to give you more effective type of representation. Imagery stage is not super huge, but on the bigger side, especially in width. Depth is slightly less than width, but still depth layering is done pretty well, and they are really good in building that sense of epicness. And let's proceed to examples. First one is Moon Song by Louis Armstrong and Oscar Peterson, and all aspects here are played really well. So fortepiano and vocal, everything, sounds as we used to it, highlighting all the strengths of these two great musicians. And Dogs by Pink Floyd, great guitar work, famous solo, famous sound, pretty unique for the Gilmour, and it's also representing nicely with all three-dimensional effects. Treble is nicely crafted, it's pretty energetic, but at the same time not overdone, at least to my taste. Maybe if you're sensitive for the high frequencies, it can be fatiguing because these earphones don't try to sound polite. But at the same time, it's definitely not overdone. It doesn't sound too harsh or metallic. Extension is pretty above average. In terms of attacks and decays, they are a bit slower than they should be, but not too much. So weight balance in the treble area is pretty nice. Layering is basic, but it's really decent results for this price segment. So in terms of overtone saturation, they are pretty good and balancing nicely. To my ears, they don't sound fatiguing, but if you're sensitive for the treble, actually you have an options to tame treble with red filters and Bese ear tips. So I don't think that there could be some excessive sharpness or something like that. And examples for the treble. First one is Sören Bebe, or Bebe, and sorry, I'm not sure about the pronunciation. A simple song, and despite of name, it's not that simple. I really recommend you this Dutch jazz keyboardist. He even sends free CDs from his website if you just pay for the shipping. But I like his approach to music promotions. I like that he's independent musician and doing distribution himself, and also his music and his trio is really precise, really well recorded. It's, typical Scandinavian jazz with all that precision, clarity, accuracy, and at the same time masterful and emotional representation. And this track definitely highlights that. With these earphones, all instruments sound natural and refined. And of course, this part of sound description won't be full without Sting. Fields of Gold, great percussion, and it sounds really nicely with these earphones. Comparing to some expensive models, they lacking a bit of layering to make everything more rich and saturated. But at the same time, for this price tier, treble here is really pleasant and balanced. In terms of pairing, they are pretty efficient. Hidizs really wisely selected 32 ohms of impedance and 111 decibels of sensitivity, meaning that they can play efficiently with almost any source in terms of power, but at the same time not to be picky for the background noise like super sensitive IEMs often does. So virtually any source will do well with them and push them to great levels of volume. But actually I don't suggest you to listen at high volumes, just take care about your ears. In terms of levels, they can be scaled up to upper mid players easily, so with good source they can sound even better. Speaking about the compressions, Fios FD15, they are more tight, more weighty, more impactful on the low frequencies. Here you're getting also you're getting big bass, but at the same time it's slightly faster, meaning that it will be slightly less impactful, but at the same time it will give you that effect of bigger bass if necessary. And here you'll get slightly more forward treble. What else we've got in this segment? In the comparisons, I focused on the single dynamic driver models only because hybrids have different sound signature because of armatures and other drivers, so I prefer to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. In this similar price segment, we usually have Moondrop, Kato, KXXX, and other K-series models by Moondrop. They are more focused on the micro contrast, they sound less impactful on the low frequencies, and usually slightly colder and brighter. And the Tangim Origin that I reviewed recently, they actually are pretty close in terms of overall tuning and overall balance, but here you'll get slightly bigger bass when it's present in the record, and slightly less focus on the detalization in the higher frequencies. So, to summarize everything, it's a great earphones even for $200, and if you get them during Kickstarter with a discount, it's even greater option. So, Hidizs continued delivering one great IEMs after another, and that's good. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a great day.